Hey, what's up everybody? It's Lids, and we're back for some more Gwent, and today we're playing more of the Irresistible Attraction Seasonal Event, which is an alternate game mode in which every time we play a unit, if our opponent has a unit with the same amount of power, we will steal that unit. That means that this event is all about stealing as many cards as possible, or preventing your opponent from stealing your cards, and that is what we're going to focus on today. So let's go give this counter meta deck a look. So today we'll be playing a Scoia'Tael Invigorate counter meta deck that maximizes the hand boosting on our cards, making it harder for our opponent to steal them. In particular, we are countering the Nilfgaard Duchess's Informant because this card is amazing when it comes to stealing opposing bronze units. As long as those units have not been boosted, you can play the Duchess's Informant and basically steal any bronze unit that your opponent plays. However, because we're going to boost almost every card that we play before we actually play it, that means the Duchess's Informant is not going to be able to steal those cards. So we'll have the usual hand boosting suspects like Torque, who every time he receives a hand boost will give another random hand boost to another card in our hand. We'll also get hand boost from Francis Bedlam every turn, who's recently been buffed. Hand boost from Dunca every turn. Hand boost from the Hawker Smugglers every turn. And for all these cards that give you a boost every turn, you want to play them early so you maximize the boost out of them, and ideally use a leader ability charge before you play them to get them boosted up to make them harder for your opponent to steal. Then we have a big chunk of hand boosting with Ithlinne, a little bit of hand boosting with Sirssa, some hand boosting with Bountiful Harvest as well, after which we can play Force Protector for another copy of Bountiful Harvest for even more hand boosting, Hawker Support for additional hand boosting, and the recently reworked Farseer, who will also give us hand boosting, although need to be mindful of, in this case, you can't target a card that you've already done hand boosting on. If you have one odd card out that has not received the hand boosting, then Farseer needs to target that. And also the recently reworked Triss Butterflies, which not only gives us hand boosting, but also helps us get the cards that we want to have boosted in our hand in the first place. So what are the actual cards that we want to hand boost on? Well, first and foremost is Aglais, because once we play her, at the end of our turn, the amount of boost that she's received will get doubled. As well as Filavandrel, who once we boost him up will give us access to some powerful Scoia'Tael special cards. And lower priorities being the Mahakam Defender, who, at least after receiving one hand boost, will automatically get boosted at the end of your turn. And Watcher of the Valley, who will deal some bleed, based on how much she's been boosted. And of course, Torque is technically the ideal hand boosting target, because every time you boost Torque, you'll also boost another card in your hand, although it's not as precise as directly boosting the card that you want to boost in particular. Then lastly, it's a bit of a fiddler, but the Dol Blathanna Bowman can be amazing this event because, depending on which row we play it in, we have a lot of flexibility for stealing one of our opponent's cards. So if for whatever reason the hand boosting just isn't working out, then this is a way to focus more on the stealing aspect. So in round 1, of course, we'll start by getting as much hand boosting as possible, and then by round 2 and round 3, we'll have some of those huge hand boosted cards that we can finish with, in particular, of course, Torque and Aglais. And again, because our cards are going to be boosted before we play them, it'll be hard for almost anyone to steal them. So let's go see it in action. Alright, so going up against Nilfgaard here, and we'll go first. Okay, so obviously we have Torque in our starting hand. We have some hand boosters with Hawker Smugglers, and so we'd like to play those early. The Dol Blathanna Bowman can be good for stealing opposing cards, but they're mostly filler cards in this deck because they're not directly supporting our hand boosting efforts. So let's look for Aglais here. And Isengrim's Council, I mean, can give us Aglais potentially, but we need her in hand to be the target of our boosting. And there she is. Okay. And ignore the fact that this is tactical advantage. It should probably be Curse Scroll because that is what I intended to put here, but I forgot. So I think what we'd like to do is start off with some hand boosting, because what they're going to try to do is steal whatever we play, of course, and they're very good at that with their Duchess's Informant, because if we play a bronze card, like, say, Hawker Smuggler, which would normally be the card we'd like to play first, they'll just create a base copy of it, and since it'll have the same amount of power as our Hawker Smuggler, they'll steal it. Unless we use our leader ability to target the obvious hand boosting targets, but also these guys, just to make them harder for them to steal. And then it is much safer to play one of them. Alternatively, when we're on blue coins such as this, you could use a tactical advantage, which can also help. If they're going to do something like Rico, that is a way to counter that a bit, and so you could make a case for that. I'm not going to this time because we have another one that we could use to steal this back, if necessary. And that flexibility is useful. Okay, it's Kingslayer, so it does appear as though they are milled. Filavandrel is obviously one of our best cards, yes, although He is basically another hand-boosting target, and right now, I guess we're kind of lacking those. Outside of Torque and Aglais, obviously these will be our 2 finishing cards, but it'd be nice to have 1 or maybe even 2 other cards that can give us additional benefits when they are boosted. We have lots of boosters, but not as many targets for the boosting. So now let's go to Hawker Smuggler number 2 here. And if they are a full-blown mill deck, I think they're going to have a lot of 4-power units, but not a lot of 5s. They might not have as much setup for stealing our cards. They might just be totally bent on trying to mess with our cards in our deck. Emissary, to give them a boost up to 11. I don't know. It's possible we might be able to steal that at some points. Maybe not quite yet, but just taking a look at Farseer here. At present, we have what? Only 1 unboosted card, that being Force Protector, so we probably do want to play this now. Otherwise, we risk having it be unplayable in this round. So I think we go that route. And this at 5, and we've seen thus far, they've, for the most part, been unable to steal these Hawker Smugglers. It might be because they have a Duchess's Informant, but they can't steal it since it's not on its base power. So we boost that Force Protector. It's not really a usual target for boosting, but since it's our only unboosted card in hand, it's what we have to go for. We might even Tactical Advantage on you. Because, again, if they do have ways to steal, it's just that they're relying on those Duchess's Informants, then we want to make sure that our bronze units do not have their base power, otherwise they're basically an automatic steal. Even if this is not as valuable as the Hawker Smugglers were. We had already boosted those in our hand, whereas we had not for this Farseer. Okay, Artfee and Tortoise at 7 is stealable with Aglais, or rather with Ithlinne. So that's very tempting. It's unlikely to get boosted further, although, I mean, we did see them use an Emissary, so I guess it's possible. They might try to boost this up as well. And the reason why I say that is, we might want to go Isengrim's Council because we are guaranteed to see a Dryad, which I believe, since we have Aglais in hand, means we'd be guaranteed to see Dunca, and she's another hand booster, much like these Hawker Smugglers are, and so it would be nice to get her on the board as quickly as possible. She would be a 4, and so she would be very stealable, is one downside to that. Do we have a 4 with steal on their side? Yeah, tell you what, we don't. So I think what we do is we do play Ithlinne, and we use her to boost Torque. Ideally, that'd go to Aglais, it goes to Force Protector instead. So be it. The reason why is, although we could have gotten Dunca down here, and we want to get her down as quickly as possible, because she's a 4, she's very stealable. One way to protect against that would have been to have saved up our stratagem for her, but another way would be if they play a 4-power unit, which is fairly likely. Here is, okay, exactly what we were expecting, Duchess's Informant. They're going for the Artfee and Tortoise, or, well, Ithlinne in this case. But if they were to put down a 4-power unit, we could potentially steal that when we play Dunca, and then we'd have 2 4-power units on our side, so they have a 50-50 chance. Maybe they'll steal our Dunca, maybe they'll steal whatever it was that we took from them, and that gives us a higher probability of keeping Dunca safe. So that's why I held off there, and at this rate, since they still have yet to play a 4-power unit, or at least, obviously they did initially, but they boosted Kingslayer since then, we'll perhaps wait to play Dunca in round 2 or round 3. I'm thinking right now we're looking at Bountiful Harvest, and the Bowman. If it were to hit you, well, actually, if it were to hit you, you'd drop down to, what, 5? It would remove your armor and boost you up to a 13. That's not a good idea. The reason why that's not a good idea is because they almost certainly have Tibor, who is a 13, and they would just absolutely love to steal a 13-power unit. We would basically be handing them the round 1 win in that case. And we're probably looking to just play one more card here, that being the Hawker Support, depending on what they do here. Unless we do want to go Isengrim's Council if they play a 4-power unit, but at this rate it's pretty darn late in the round, so we'd rather not. Though I suppose the longer this round goes, the more time we have for these Hawker Smugglers to keep on doing their job, which has been good for us thus far. Torque's up to 16. Aglais, unfortunately, I don't think has been targeted for much of those. Oh, Torques. Okay, they just heat waved our tall. Oh, well, it's not going to show up here, but our Farseer. I mean, it was 10 points, so it's decent value, but it's not like that was a super important card for us. So I think we are Still looking to go Hawker support, steal this Archfiend Tortoise, and we'll use this to boost up Torque even further. And the reason why I was saying that would probably be the last card we play in this round is because we're now at 3 units in hand, and we are absolutely not playing Torque or Aglais in round 1. Force Protector is technically playable because we have Bountiful Harvest in our graveyard. Obviously, at 18 points, it's absolutely humongous. The other reason why we might not want to play further is because if we, for whatever reason, find ourselves wanting to use our last few leader ability charges, we just don't have enough units in hand to make that happen. They have not caught us here. They are 11 points behind, and although it looked initially like they were a mill deck, we've not seen much mill anymore. So at 14 cards remaining in our deck, that's not a huge risk for them to mill us so low that we're not drawing cards in between rounds, which is ultimately their goal, is to drag this out to round 3, get our cards in our deck down to 0 so we don't draw any additional cards in round 3, so that gives them the card advantage they need to win round 3. But I think we're fine here because at this rate, it's going to take them an awfully long time to banish these remaining cards, and if they want to keep on playing, then gives us more time to get the hand boosting from these Hawker Smugglers. And that is still not enough, because no, that does not count as a 7 power unit. Fion is a 1, and then you play Battle Preparation. So no, they are unable to steal these Tortoises. That might have been their intention, though, or Hawker support. Okay, Emissary, I think, will at this point be enough. But it does mean we got several more turns worth of boosting, so we are looking really good now, not to mention 2-card advantage. Okay, so we'd like to, perhaps more than anything, get Dunca in our hand here. It's likely that they'll dry pass because they played 2 more cards than us in round 1, so we'd like to have 1 card at least that we're willing to just throw away. So maybe we hold on to Watcher of the Valley or Mahakam Defender, but we should swap out the other one. So, I mean, this is probably a little bit better than you. I mean, they're both solid. Okay, Royal Decree does give us a way to get Dunca, so that works. Yes, they do dry pass. So let's just use Mahakam Defender here. And that will, of course, be sufficient. And even after that, we still have 1 card advantage going into round 3. So it's a little bit odd. They started to look like a mill deck at the very beginning, and then they kind of abandoned that strategy. Okay, and we draw into Farseer, which with a few boosted units in our hand and the ability to get more boosted units in our hand with our leader ability, could set up for a nice boost on something else. Triss Butterflies could be a way to get, say, a boosted Dunca or Francis Bedlam into our hand to set up additional hand boosts. So that looks nice, and that might even mean, since we're going to have to shuffle one of these cards into our deck to do that, we might be fine with things as is. We'll use Royal Decree to get one of those cards, and then we'll use Triss Butterflies to shuffle Watcher of the Valley back into our deck and replace it with the other of the Dunca / King of Daggers combo. So this looks fine. The one thing we might have potentially switched out would have been Farseer, but I think this is still pretty solid. So, first, let's go... Trying to think of the best way to maximize the effect of Farseer. If we go leader ability on, we're going to want to go Torque, Aglais. Yeah, I guess we probably still Triss first. No, we can't Triss first, otherwise we're going to brick Farseer. So we do this. Farseer does need to go first. It's a little bit risky, because we don't know who Torque is going to give the extra boost to. So we do need to be kind of careful here. We don't want to boost Watcher of the Valley, because that's going to go away. So we need Sirssa to not get boosted from Torque. Sirssa did not get boosted by Torque. That's good. Because now we boost Sirssa with Watcher of the Valley. Didn't waste any boosts on Watcher of the Valley. Or rather, with boost her with Farseer. Don't boost Watcher of the Valley. This is going to go away when we swap it out with Triss Butterflies and get either King of Beggars, or rather Francis Bedlam, spoiler alert, or, that's mean, or Dunca. She's already done her thing, so it's not really a huge deal. But now we go Triss Butterflies to get one of those cards. Or, I mean, we could go Royal Decree straight into one of them. But, technically this is 1 turn faster. I guess we do this. And they have... Wait, Francis Bedlam is a 6, right? Yeah, so we can steal one of their cards in the process. Yeah, let's go that route. Go for Francis Bedlam. We steal one of you back. That's fine. We get the hand boosting going, and then on our next turn, we'll go Triss Butterflies. Oh, okay, that's a wasted hand boost, unfortunately, but low probability chance just so happened to work out that way. Francis Bedlam at 7. Might be able to steal it with Triss Butterflies if we were to use Leader Ability Charge. Boost both Triss and Torque, and maybe Torque happens to give the extra boost onto Triss to get her up to 7. That would be nice, but okay, they're going to steal one of these as well. So they're doing a good job of the stealing now. This is more what I expected them to do in round 1. I'm surprised they didn't do it as much then. But, let's see, 5, yeah, it doesn't steal anything at the moment. Sirssa does steal. But that might not be all that time sensitive. This is locked, so it's not like we need to get this right off the bat, and this is probably not going to get boosted any further. If this were to suddenly become an 8, then that would be much easier for us to steal. But I think we go Leader Ability here, boost the cards that we definitely want to boost, then we boost you, and let's keep you on 8 if we can. We want you to become... Oh, stop giving the extra boost to you. You're about to go away. Okay, put you back and get you. Okay, so you're now a 7, which actually does match up with Francis Bedlam's number. So you are theoretically stealable if nothing else changes in the meantime. Okay, Joachim's going to give them a huge card, but that huge card might actually be stealable. Who are they going to lock? We don't have any engines anymore. We are about to get some engines, and we can steal Francis Bedlam back, so that's great. Let's do it. So now we're getting 2 hand boosts per turn, and we kind of don't want them to go on Sirssa, because as things currently stand, we could steal one of those 2, but I probably now jinxed that. I have now jinxed that. Okay, coup on Joachim, of course. Once again, their big cards are potentially stealing targets for us. That is a huge Nilfgaardian Knight, but at 16 power, can we make that work? I don't think so, at least not as things currently stand. Isengrim's Council, what is that going to be? It could give us... It's definitely going to give us this Mahakam Defender. That's an option. Alternatively, we don't know. It's going to give us this Watcher of the Valley. I guess there's a chance this one that we hand boosted before might see the light of day. Or one of these Dol Blathanna Bowman. Or this worse Watcher of the Valley. So I think we're looking at this now, because this is not any longer a useful stealing target unless we use Dunca. Get you down to 13. Still doesn't quite line up. Maybe with some additional hand boosting it could. So let's use this. And we do get the boosted Watcher of the Valley. So I think... I mean, this is an engine. And it's still early enough in the round that's possible, but I think what we'll do is we'll go Watcher of the Valley here. And at 8, it steals Francis Bedlam. We'll put the bleed on this Nilfgaardian Knight just to try to make it a little more feasible to steal it. Because as Sirssa gets those hand boosts, it starts to become a little more feasible, especially when we have at least the option of using Dunca to help set that up. Damien. Their leader ability was Imposter. I honestly don't even remember that they... Oh, they used it on Francis Bedlam is when they used it. Okay. We can't really steal you. But at 15 power, we could drop you down to a 12, and then damage you by 2 down to 10. That does mean we can steal this Nilfgaardian Knight. So I think that's what we do here. We do have the option of going Forest Protector, and with it, getting a Bountiful Harvest, and with that, potentially stealing something. I mean, it's possible we could even steal Damien that way. But because of the bleed, this is sort of time-sensitive. I mean, this is obviously time-sensitive. They're going to use the Sword ability on their next turn, but it's still a gamble. We don't know what we're going to get with the Bountiful Harvest, whereas this is guaranteed. So I think we take the sure thing here. Because it's still a pretty huge play for us. It does mean we're shutting down Dunca's hand boosting, but we still have Francis Bedlam doing his thing, and we had at least some time to get the benefit out of that hand boosting there. So we have only big cards remaining. Letho Kingslayer does not change power, so you'll remain to 6, and oh, to get another Damien. Well, we were saying it might be possible to steal a Damien with Forest Protector. So let's at least give it a try here. Obviously, this is a 25-point unit. They're going to do whatever they can to either poison it, remove it, or steal it, if possible. Then we have some bigger units as well still remaining, so there's a chance we might even be able to steal it back. But let's go Force Protector, and with it, Bountiful Harvest. And so what we're looking for is ideally to steal that Damien, if we can find a way to make that happen. Not really looking like it. You have a 3, you don't have a 3, you don't have a 4, and you don't have a 2. So there will be no stealing to be had. We definitely have non-elves, so this is not an engine for us. This is the highest power unit, but it is also the easiest to steal. This technically is also worth actually more than that in terms of points. And now... Okay, good. If they do have... Did they play Rico yet? If they've been saving him and are trying to steal this 25-point body, we can steal it back, which would be amazing. Would be hilarious. I actually really want them to do that now. No, it's Eskel. Darn. Okay, fine. Okay, here's the leader ability, and they can get that leader ability back. Okay, they're going for the Duncas, understandably, I suppose. Well, I mean, it's kind of late for that, but they have enough cards with statuses in this row that it's a decent little boost they put on Dunca as well. Might have a Nilfgaardian Knight that they're trying to set up by lowering Sirssa down to a 10. Or rather, down to an 8. Well, now it's Torque. And you could maybe make a case for saving Torque for last just because, well, no, even if we do save him for last, he's going to get boosted by Francis Bedlam up to a 26, so we still wouldn't be able to steal Force Protector back if they, for some reason, were saving that. No, but even if they did, if they had Rico, which they may have already played, or they might just not have him at all, they would have needed to play him on their previous turn, and they didn't. So, Torque is safe here. Or at least, we're not missing out on the potential to steal Force Protector back. It does not appear as though they have that capability. And I'm going to wait to use this on our last turn, probably. Aglais is obviously our biggest finisher. Because we have Last Say, they don't have the ability to shut her down. And so they have to do a whole lot here. I mean, Jurden would hit us really hard, of course, but that still might not be sufficient. And it's not very common in this event, but, I mean, who knows? They do still have a leader ability charge, so that's worth something as well. Okay, there is the leader ability. And last card is Yenvo. Okay, solid. But even after that Eskel boosted is not enough, and of course we still have our Aglais, and I mean, we have to at least see how much this is worth, right? Because at the end of our turn, it gets boosted up, giving us a 44-point finisher. Alright, so going up against monsters here, and they'll go first. Okay, so let's take a look at what we have in hand here. We have Torque, of course, so he will be our hand-boosting support. We have other ways to do the hand-boosting with Dunca, Hawker Smuggler, and with Francis Bedlam. We don't currently have Aglais, so our best target for the hand-boosting as things currently stand is Filavandrel, but we'd like to do better than that. I think we dumped the Dol Blathanna Bowman. It is not really a card that is here for the hand-boosting. It is mostly just a placeholder, and Watch the Valley is technically a target for hand-boosting, but it's not a great one. Okay, Royal Decree, I mean, actually, we could Royal Decree into Triss Butterflies, and that, what is this gonna get out? Okay, Force Protector is a very good card, but I was worried we were about to lose Aglais because Triss Butterflies can get us Aglais in hand, which is where we need her to be, to benefit from the hand boosting. So I think that's probably what we lead off with here, in fact, because we want to wait to do as our hand boosting until we actually have Aglais in hand, because she's the primary unit we want to be going after with that. So, Royal Decree into Triss Butterflies. And with Triss Butterflies, we do need to choose a card to put back into our deck, and I'm thinking that is probably the Watcher of the Valley, or Farseer, although this can work pretty well as another support card. And then we get Aglais. So now she gets boosted, and we steal Quacks as well. But now that means we can go full speed ahead with our hand boosting. Okay, so I didn't even see, they didn't get the deploy ability to trigger on Arrakis Queen because they summoned it in. with Quacks. Which is actually really weird. Because that kind of bricks the entire card. Even Urn of Shadows is not going to work on it. So yeah, that's really odd. But now what we can do is let's go Invigorate. And let's do that to boost up, obviously, Torque and Aglais. And then, would be nice to get Filavandrel, but we'd also like to boost up some of the cards that we want to play early here. Dunca and Hawker Smuggler and Francis Bedlam. To make those harder for our opponents to steal. So, they might have Barbayazi, which is 6. I think 5 might actually be the safest number here. I mean, I suppose we could have stolen the Raucous Queen for 6, which is not a bad option. This is probably not about to get boosted anyway, although they might be about to consume it, which would be weird because, again, they didn't use the deployability, which kind of bricked that entire card, but we'll see. Okay, Doo-Doo. Force Protector is actually the best thing for them to transform into because they could have been able to steal our original Dunca. So they will get... Oh, they'll immediately use Dunca's ability. Wow. They will create their own Dunca, yeah, but because they use that immediately, they just get the 3 damage and no hand boosting. So not only is that limiting the long-term value for them, it also means this is not really a card that we're terribly focused on stealing ourselves anymore. So what we could do now is we could go with more straightforward hand boosting with Francis Bedlam, with Hawker Smuggler, and because they do still have a 6-power unit, we would steal something with that. We might want to go Farseer relatively soon to get a big boost on. At this rate, it would be Francis Bedlam, in fact. So I think we might want to do that before we risk accidentally boosting Francis Bedlam with Dunca, because at that point, Farseer is bricked. So let's go this route. It's obviously not one of our absolute strongest cards, so it's not a huge point of emphasis. We could have, theoretically, if needed, waited to play it in round 2 or round 3. But now we will proceed to, well... Ooh, now we no longer have a 6, though. Because this got boosted. Yeah, that does stink a little bit, but we'll see. Oh, they still Dunca. I don't like that. And then they... Oh, you have to go and use Dunca's ability as well. I mean, we do have other cards that perform the same... fill the same need. And so we are likely looking to play one now. And unfortunately, as things currently stand, 7 does not steal, 10 does not steal, and those are the 2 numbers we'd be looking for. We could go in a little bit of a weird order here and go Bountiful Harvest next and see if we happen to get something that can steal, although they don't really have any engines. The only thing that we particularly want to steal at this point would be this Desert Banshee, because it is technically a bit of an engine. It can still consume. We're not about to play Filavandrel right now to steal it. Even if it is a 5, that is a card that we'd like to do more hand boosting on. So let's go... Yeah, I think we'll go Hawker Smuggler here. I mean, I suppose maybe that was more likely to be able to steal something than Francis Bedlam was. I mean, I don't know if they're about to go She Who Knows. Of course they have a 7. Of course they have a 7. And then they freaking consume it, man. How dare you? So, at this rate, yes, in hindsight, we should have gone Francis Bedlam. Obviously, it's easy to say that after they just played as Ice Giant, but I mean, Filavandrel at 6 can at least do Bountiful Harvest, which is something. It's a decent special card, and at 6 power, he does still steal. Maruna is dangerous. But at this rate, and we do have a lot of ground to make up in this round, I'm not sure how feasible it is for us to catch them anymore. If we were to want to use leader ability, we'd want to use it as soon as possible. We also have a tutor, which would be guaranteed to show us Sirssa, which is enough to steal something if we'd like it to. I'm not liking the way this is looking, though. I think we pass here, and then we try to get a round in which we have as much time as possible to get boosted up with Francis Bedlam. Okay, so let's get rid of Watcher of the Valley. That's not great. Bountiful Harvest is probably better. And then Mahakam Defender and Farseer. We have, what, 1, 2, 3, 4 boosted cards in our hands, so we could use Farseer to boost up Mahakam Defender. That's not bad. They did play one more card than us in that round, and so if they do technically have one throwaway card, but they might drive past. They might just play one card and then pass. We could use Farseer to boost up Mahakam Defender as our 1 throwaway, and then maybe Mahakam Defender as our 2nd one if needed. Or Bountiful Harvest is not a bad option either for a little bit of carryover as well. So this is looking okay. Obviously, we do have some bigger cards that we would like to pick up. Ithlinne, or most importantly, perhaps this Hawker Smuggler. But I think we'll keep it as is, bearing in mind that we deliberately want to have some not-so-great cards to throw away if needed. Okay, and it's Forktail. I think that is definitely a throwaway because there are no other units on the board. So it does not seem as though they put much value into that deploy ability. And, I mean, we could steal it with Mahakam Defender, but I don't think that they're going to play anything else, so I'm not too concerned about that. I think we just go Farseer and guarantee that we have the chance to boost up this Mahakam Defender. Get it up to an 8, which means it is boosted, so we'll get boosted by 1 every turn. As well, if they do try to push further, then this becomes our next card, or a Bountiful Harvest. They are going to keep on playing with Weavis Incantation. That's a huge card. They would not play that if they did not have intention of going further. It is a 10 power card. Francis Bedlam is a 10 power card. This is our most important engine. I think we are going to play him here to steal their most important card. And if they do try to go further, obviously Francis Bedlam gives us a way to get a whole bunch more hand boosting. But if they cut things short, well, we cut off the bleed at the very least. And I was going to say the biggest problem with what happened in round... Oh, that is a creative way to get a 10. I was going to say the biggest thing about round 1, us losing there, was that we lost our chance to get last say, which would have been an important factor for making sure that they couldn't answer Aglais as easily, or Torque. But if they try to push, and if we can match their push, then we might actually be in decent shape here. And Mahakam Defender is a 9. If we can use our hand boosting, we could guarantee that we get that up to... Oh, a 10. It's not guaranteed because we don't know where Torque's extra boost is going to go. We don't want it to be on the Mahakam Defender, otherwise it goes up to 11 and it is no longer going to steal. And then, Lids, you go and jinx it. Well, what can you do? That stinks. It would have been perfect if not for that. Bountiful Harvest. None of these really benefit us at all. I guess we could have used the tiebreaker as should have gone with the leftmost card to guarantee that we boost Torque. You're not going to steal anything. We are going to immediately trigger. Ooh. That's a Deathwish there, and then leader ability as well to get rid of the last of our cards. So, I mean, Aglais is 10. We really don't want to play Aglais, but it is theoretically an option. Isengrim's Council, actually, though. We have a lot of elves. And we don't know which one we're going to get. We're definitely going to see Sirssa. She will get boosted up to a 6 and can deal 2 damage, which means she is capable of stealing this Ekimara. So I think that's probably what we're going for here. A guaranteed steal, not the highest possible value steal, but a solid steal nonetheless. Technically speaking, Mahakam Defender, the earlier we play it, the more valuable it becomes. So if we think this round is going to keep on going, then that might actually be better to do first, assuming they don't do anything to change the power of that Ekimara. So tell you what, I think I am going to do that. Okay, it's Were-Rat, which is not enough to steal anything. No, don't consume the card we were about to try to steal. That's the entire point of their deck. I mean, in case it isn't obvious. Deathwish and Consumption is actually really strong in this event because you have tons of flexibility to manipulate the amount of power that your cards have and either make it really hard for your opponent to steal your cards or set yourself up to steal your opponent's big boosted cards. So... we might be able to boost up Filavandrel here. We would waste 1 boost in our leader ability, but I think we might need to take that sacrifice. We don't want the boost to go to Filavandrel. Oh, it's a 50-50 chance. Of course it's going to Filavandrel. We've struck out on every single Torque random boost thus far. Lovely. Lovely. I mean, nothing is stealing this boost Torque. This gets some extra damage on you, so... Oh, no, this is the already boosted, not at the... If you're in a row by yourself one. Yeah, so we should have gone for the Torque boost. I mean, we got the Aglais boost guaranteed, which is saying something. If you're going to consume that, you would have consumed anything that we played there. It's really looking like there's no way around Torque and or Aglais in this round. Isengrim's council at this point would mean still Sirssa is guaranteed. We will definitely see her, but no steal from her. The elves, we still don't know what we're going to see there, and we are guaranteed to have the option to play Mahakam Defender as well. That's a 6, which is also not going to steal anything. So, I mean, we could go that route again just because it's an engine. So playing it earlier is worth something. Watch of the Valley is pretty useless. You can ask me this. I'm still not sure it's going to make enough of a difference, though. I mean, Torque steals a 10, for what it's worth. So we can actually still win this without having to play Aglais. So that's something. We will not have last say in round 3. And it means we're losing our key hand-boosting support, but we've done a fair bit of that already. Would, of course, like to have Aglais a little bit higher than this, but I think that is our best answer here. And it means that, at the very least, we have not gone cards down in round 3, which it looked for a little while like that might have been what we were going to need to do. We didn't get the opportunity to get card advantage and get last say, which maybe wishful thinking, but it seemed for a minute there like that was going to be possible. Okay, so now we don't really have any more great ways to do hand boosting. Oh well, we've lost our big hand boosting engines. So, Watchers of the Valley, we're probably not looking for any additional targets. We're just going to point slam these guys at the end of the round. So we're looking to dump you guys. We can use Hawker support to boost up Aglais further. Okay, this will do. We'll lead off with Hawker support. We'll see once they play unit if we can steal something with the Bowman. Otherwise, we'll go into another Hawker support and then finish with these two. And we'll prioritize boosting Aglais because she is theoretically worth more points than Aglais, or rather than Filavandrel, at least for the hand boosting. So every boost here is worth twice the amount of points we're boosting it for. Unfortunately, because Dol Blathanna Bowman deals damage, we can't actually steal that Desert Banshee as things currently stand. If they play another unit and don't immediately consume it, then we might be able to steal something. Let's go another Hawker support. And yeah, so basically it's worth 3 points on Filavandrel, it's worth 6 for Aglais, which is why we're boosting Aglais, and Filavandrel is already at the point where he can, I'm pretty sure, play any Scoia'Tael special card, so incremental boosts do not give any incremental value beyond just the additional power that he's directly receiving. Forktail, damaging everyone, and if you consume it, that might have actually helped us. Because, yes, it did. Now we can use the Bowman to steal this Banshee if we play it in the range row. So that'll get you down to a 4. And that is what this Bowman is for, is it gives us some flexibility with stealing. And so now, of course, it's just all big point slams. Well, Filavandrel will go, oh, give us something big for a special card. Didn't expect to see Kelly. Did not expect to see Kelly. Okay. We'll go range row, and there's a chance we might be able to move Kelly out of that melee row. That would be useful. Technically, she's only going to destroy our smallest units, so losing a 2-power Hawker support and 4-power Desert Banshee or Dol Blathanna Bowman's not going to be a huge deal to us, but it is also a 9-power unit, so it is certainly at least a big body, if nothing else. Okay. What would Isengrim's council give us? Still the option of Sirssa. It's not quite capable of destroying Kelly, but I think we might still take it because... Oh, I really convinced myself that we were guaranteed to see Ithlinne. We are not. That was a mistake. I thought we were guaranteed to... I, for some reason, thought that we were for sure going to see that, and I justified it for that reason alone. But, no, it was better to go. Just get that big boost. The direct boost. They also stole Sirssa, which is very unfortunate. So, yeah, that backfired in more ways than one. But we obviously still have our huge point slam with Aglais. The question here becomes, what is this last card? Because this is the big factor. We do not have last say. So if we did, we'd have this huge finisher they wouldn't have a way of answering, but they do at least potentially have a way of shutting this down. We're going to find out. If they can answer Aglais, they win. If they can't, we win. It's Siegfried, and that just will not do. Even with their leader ability, we will still take the win. Alright, so going up against Nilfgaard here. And they'll go first. Okay, and let's see. So, of course, we have Torque in our starting hand. Although, at the moment, we do not have Aglais. We can technically use Triss Butterflies to get her if necessary. But if we can't find her, I mean, we do have a couple of mulligans we can try for first. This is a backup plan if necessary. Hawker Smuggler for more hand boosting along with Francis Bedlam. That's good. Other than that, most disposable... Probably this Hawker support. Okay, another Bountiful Harvest, a little bit of hand boosting. It is looking like we're going to want to use Ithlinne to get Aglais in hand. Or rather, Triss, I should say. Get her in hand. What did they just put in our graveyard? Okay, good. I was going to say, if you, in this one turn, found a way to put Aglais into our graveyard, I would not have been happy with you. So, we technically do kind of want a throwaway card of sorts to put back into our deck. And our hand is pretty solid here. So, it might have to be one of our Bountiful Harvests, even though that is a card that we would like to play at some point. So, let's go this route. We will put back into our deck the Bountiful Harvest, and we will put it into our hand Aglais and Booster right off the bat, so that's good. This Triss Butterflies is likely to get stolen, but deliberately didn't use Invigorate to boost her because we don't really care if she gets stolen. She's not as important as anything else here, and we wanted to wait to use this leader ability until we had Aglais in hand, because that way we could make sure that we go and boost Torque. We can also boost Aglais as well. And Torque's boost has a chance of also boosting Aglais. So now they have a few 4s on the board, and we could steal them, although generally speaking, with 4-power units, those are the easiest ones for them to steal as well. So I'm thinking what we do here is we go at least with one round of our leader ability here, and let's boost up, obviously these two, and then probably the ones that we want to play to help set up the boosting. Obviously, Filavandrel is also a boosting target, but since we have Aglais, he is now more of a secondary and boosting target, and he'll, of course, occasionally get some boost from Torque anyway, or directly from the Hawker Smuggler. The Operator is going to be to get Kingslayers, yep. And it is enough to steal, unfortunately, Hawker Smuggler there. So, I mean, we could play Filavandrel for 5. I'd rather not do that, because we'd like for him to get bigger before we play him. I think I'd prefer to try for Bountiful Harvest and see what we get there, and hopefully it gives us a way to steal back this Hawker Smuggler. If we do, though, there's a 50-50 chance will it end up in our melee row where it can still do the hand boosting, or the range row where it can't do much of anything. Only one way to find out, and that is to test it out here. Okay, not loving our options. The Sorceress is the strongest card of all of them, but she is quite stealable at 4 power. We will steal one of their units, which makes it slightly safer. Okay, then Oniro into a Duchess's Informant. This will be to try to steal. Oh, actually, they might go Kingslayer. Yeah, and then try to steal Sorceress. That's their hope. They get Triss. Okay, so that's comparatively okay. And so now that we have this Bountiful Harvest in our graveyard, that means we can play Force Protector to get it back and steal this Hawker Smuggler in the process, or maybe Operator, though we'd obviously prefer this. And if we don't succeed stealing it with a Force Protector, then we can always see what we get from the Bountiful Harvest. So let's go for this. Ah, it is Operator. Darn. Okay, and you can damage something by 3 if we play you in the melee row, which means we can damage the Hawker Smuggler. There is another 3, so there's still a 50-50 chance. but we should go for it. Should still go for it. Darn it! Okay, then we should use this, and... Not sure we have an obvious target for boosting. So, no, we as much as we would perhaps be tempted to take this out. I mean, then again, I guess we can't really steal you at this rate. Royal Decree, we might have a way. So it would have denied them the hand boosting, which is kind of nice, but at the same time, we'd like to steal this back at some point. Okay, Quacks is mean. I mean, as is basically anything for Mill. But hey, you gave us Dunca in the melee row, no less. So that's actually very helpful. And that living armor... Not out of the question that might be stealable. Especially if we use... I mean, we could use Dunca to damage it by 3, drop it down to 7, and then get Francis Bedlam on the board. It means we're not going to get the hand boosting from Dunca, but it means we're going to replace Dunca with Francis Bedlam, so it's kind of lose one, get the other, and in the process steal a powerful unit. Maybe that's worth it. Alternatively, we could... we could damage and then play Ithlinne, which... Similar results. Hold on, now. Royal Decree. We were saying a 3 would be a good target for us, which is possible. Yes, in fact, guaranteed for us to steal that. I think we do it. We go... Get Hawker support. And we boost Torque. We steal you, and you end up in the melee row. That's awesome. So at the very least, that has bought us a little more time for additional hand boosting, which is great. It's pretty late to be playing Francis Bedlam, so we'd rather not do that at this stage. But Ithlinne is certainly still a possibility. And we, at the end of the round, could, of course, use Dunca's order as well. Okay, more mill. We would very much like to win round 1 if they're just focusing on milling. We do have a lot of 4s, but fortunately they're not really stealing anything of value at this point. Okay, so... we could play Torque and steal this living armor, and that would almost certainly win us the round unless they turn around and Rico'd us. But we'd like to save Torque a little bit longer because he can continue to support additional hand boosting. So I'm thinking we might now be looking at what we were talking about before. Damage living armor with Dunca and then play Francis Bedlam. It does cut us off a bit. Oh, well, actually, hold on. If we go Invigorate here and... boost you guys. I'm trying to get Filavandrel up to a 10. I'm going to deliberately actually avoid Torque this time. So I want to get you exactly on 10. I mean, really, either of you work, I suppose. In fact, yeah, we'll still go Francis Bedlam, I suppose. To get the living armor, that's a big steal. Now we have a lot of hand boosting happening here. Okay, Hunting Pack, we don't really care. You're going to steal... oh, Dunca. I thought you were going to end up stealing this side. Yes, Dunca was still of some value to us. However, you have not caught us. And that means if you want to win round 1, you're going to have to go cards down. I mean, against Mill, we do still need to be a little bit careful about that, because if they win this round, they're going to try to make it so we can't draw into anything going into round 3. Might still be fine, just because of how big... how valuable our cards are going to be, given how much hand boosting they have in a short round. So that might still be okay for us. We'll get a little more hand boosting from these two. I mean, still 2 boosts per turn, so if they want to take additional turns to try to catch us, then that's still not a terrible thing. For that reason, we will continue to gain value. Otherwise, we're looking at Aglais. Hand boost Torque. I think we pass. Against anyone other than Mill, it is a immediate pass right off the bat. But what was that? Was that our Hawker support? I think it was, right? So it's slightly more, or slightly less hand boosting now. We're gonna use Vilgefortz to get rid of one of our big cards, presumably. But so yep, they'll catch us here with 1 card. That's not terribly surprising. We will have 2 card advantage. They'll try to prevent us from drawing cards with their Mill. But even with that being said, given how much hand boosting we have here, and given how we already have a 2 card advantage, it's gonna be hard for them to make that count. Okay, so we draw into Sirssa, Watcher of the Valley, and Mahakam Defender. Obviously, we don't have that many cards remaining here. We do still have a Hawk and Smuggler in our deck here, so that is the most valuable card that we have that we do not currently have access to. Want to try to not draw into Isengrim Council because tutors against Mill is generally not a good idea. You're going to be thinning out your deck even more, so we might stick with this. Both these guys are not great, but we're probably looking for a throwaway. We may not be. Depends if they're trying to thin or not. Okay, we might settle for Farseer. Seeing as how we do have several boosted cards here, and some that are not boosted, so this is a good setup for Farseer. Okay, T-War, they're trying to force us, tempo-wise, into doing something we don't want to do and play one of our highly boosted cards. I mean, tempo-wise, we're actually not in a huge rush because we have that card advantage, but again, bear in mind that their goal here is to get us down to 0 cards, so that even if we go to round 3, I mean, obviously we want to go to round 3, their goal is to make so we don't draw into any additional cards, so any card advantage that we have right now is going to be mitigated by the fact we won't draw anything else, but they will still draw cards from their deck. That is basically their entire strategy. But we could, Sirssa is 6 points in this round, which is still not quite enough. I think we go Ithlinne, which is enough. If my math was correct there. It is. So it's a good kind of in-between. We can play one of our highly boosted cards that was not our crucial target for the hand boosting, while still supporting our other stuff. They steal Isengrim's Council. Honestly, the best one they could have stolen because it does precisely nothing for them. They haven't even passed us here. So at this rate, we're just looking to play throwaway cards, and the best option for us is probably Farseer, because we can get some additional carryover value through this. And we should boost the Mahakam Defender because this does benefit from being pre-boosted. And they will forfeit. They realized that they either could not mill our remaining cards, or they thought that even if they could, the amount of hand boosting we had was going to be too much for them to handle, even if they got card advantage. So there's a look at a Scoia'Tael counter meta deck for the new Irresistible Attraction seasonal events. If you liked the video, then make sure to hit the like and subscribe button and leave a comment down below. Let me know which other cards, archetypes, and factions you'd like us to experiment with next. Thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you next time.